Oh, good. Good strength on the stream there. Let me just tweet this bad boy out. Kill that. I did not predict this one.
As long as I've known Ryley, I don't think he would have hurt a fly. But
Yeah. Well, I'm a little surprised by this escalating as soon as it did. I don't know. I guess I was expecting if something was going to go wrong, maybe closer to kick out time.
Yeah, there's still 3 months.
And here we go. All right, everyone. Hi, I'm FNGR. I'm joined by Aeon of Dreams, Lightning Bliss, lioconvoy, and my girlfriend Rouge. Currently, or supposedly, I believe this has ended now. Rouge was co-tenant. Would that be it? Roommate? Am I doing that properly? With Ryley Miller, who, well, why don't you take it from here? Some of your grievances that you'd like to get to, as well as what went down yesterday.
So he wasn't a very, I guess, cleanly roommate. He'd stack things in the kitchen and not take them out to the trash, leave boxes and stuff just thrown about everywhere. He kind of just stayed in his room, didn't help clean up the rest of the house. Was very loud, would keep me and the other roommate. There were times that he'd completely forget bills and I'd have to tap him last minute. And then some stuff happened with my sister where my sister was notified that because his car plate was out of state, they decided that they were going to charge my sister not only a licensing fee to rent out, that she would also be charged a 50% increase on the house taxes as well as her personal taxes, which is just not something she could afford. And so he was given a lease because he never signed one when he was supposed to when he moved in. That ended in September 1st. Where else you want me to go?
Well, here, 1 second. I have to blank the screen because I'm going to go to Kichi's DMs. They're giving me a statement, which I'm going to screen cap and move over. Anything particularly you want me to hit on? Just your experience and statement about Ryley. I blanked the screen because stream, but I'll screen cap. So the point of contention that I had, which again Rouge has been a good sport about since then. Originally when Ryley moved in, I think Kichi tapped me on the shoulder and mentioned that some of their issues with Ryley. I'm waiting to get an exact statement so Anthony doesn't flub that, since I didn't have that entirely committed to memory.
I kind of know the gist of it, but I'm afraid that I might mess it up.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Long story short, that Ryley had moved in with the crew over there in California. I was under the impression they just couldn't keep up with rent, or they just got sick of him, but there's a bit more to it than that.
There is more to it than that, but I'll let them say it for themselves since I technically wasn't a roommate over there. But I just heard what they told me.
I know Peter used to live with them.
Yeah, I moved out because things were getting like I just couldn't find employment there, or any stable employment. Even with my temp agency, I only got like 2 assignments that lasted about 2 weeks, and I was like, okay, at this point I'm just being a load on everyone else. Then my car got a flat, and I'm just like, I can't continue this. So I thought, okay, I'll pay y'all back later. But until then, I'm going to go to Texas and find work there. That's essentially why I moved out.
So we'll do the conjecture part, and again, for the people in the chat, this part here is just speculation. So Rouge formerly used to have 4 rabbits. would you like to tell that part here again? Like, their ages and why that was a bit, I get suspicious. Hi, Ruza. We're streaming right now. You're free to stay though.
My rabbits were only about a year old. They're all from the same litter, all fed the same stuff. The morning, I can't remember what day, it was like 2-3 weeks ago. I went in there to grab my diploma because I was going to get guard training done and needed it, and had slipped the lease under the door for Ryley to sign that expressed that he would need to be out by September 1st. I had explained to him why it was happening. I was told that he didn't understand that he was having an anxiety attack. I explained again, no response. By the time I got home, the bunnies that were hopping around in the morning, 2 of them were just dead. They're healthy.
You mentioned something that looked like, and again, maybe your memories of you'll tell me how confident. You said that one of their skulls looked weird at the time, or
It does look weird. I couldn't tell you what it was, neither could my sister. What we do know is that they were not dead long enough for there to even be flies, which means they weren't even dead for a day. And I knew that they were hopping around in the morning when I had left to go to guard training. They just weren't.
Did you examine the? I know it's hard to lose a pet, so do forgive me if I'm being non-empathic. I really do care about animals. So, did you see any? I mean, aside from the skull, did you see any other obvious wounds?
Nope, no wounds. They were just. My sister checked them out for me because she came down. Healthy rabbits. Just suddenly weren't moving. My other 2 were fine. I moved them into my room so I could keep an eye on them. And the other 2 haven't shown any signs of weirdness. If it was food, it would have been all 4 of them. If there was a disease, it would be all 4 of them because it was 1 in each cage and they were right next to each other, like right up against each other.
And what are the odds of rabbits both eating the same food and they both choke simultaneously in one day? That's very unusual too.
I know rabbits are skittish and can sometimes have heart attacks, but if it's weird that 2 at the exact same time, same litter, so there's not any like, oh, well, they're from different litters, different health problems. I had taken them to a vet, and when I had seen the vet earlier in the year, that they were perfectly healthy.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Couple things here real quick. B19 Rando. Animals actually are known for sudden death syndrome. It happens pretty regularly in the animal kingdom. The reason you don't hear about it is because, well, they're animals and most of them exist in the wild. Also of note, I know Anthony said this in the chat, but just for the stream's sake, we don't have any evidence that Ryley was responsible for the death of these rabbits. It's speculation based on his behavior. We don't have anything to directly tie that. So, if you regale this to someone, try to get that correct. We don't want to make an accusation we can't back up.
Okay, yeah, just to answer Blake here in the chat. Oh, by the way, Blake, I know since you threw money at me, I'll give you a cheap plug here real quick. Blake just recently did a video. There you go. I'll put a link in the description in a minute. Covering pedophiles in the tokusatsu fandom. Great job, Blake. But back to this. Ryley's a guy that we've hung around with. He's been one of the, I guess, our casual friends here in the chat. I was cool with him until, like, I don't know, I got worried mostly about the rabbit thing, where I started kind of putting a distance between him and myself. I don't cheap shots aside about the whole remark about holding your friends to a higher standard. I can wink at little things, but when things start to potentially endanger the people that I really care and love about, especially Rouge, I'm gonna probably I am gonna take their side and prevent things from going worse. You know what? Later on, if that's completely false, I could always apologize. And again, that's why I'm not saying that that's set in stone. Let's see.
Do you want me to express what led up to him moving in with me?
Sure, absolutely. Because I know that there was a statement about that as well.
Me and Ryley would talk frequently. He was very active within my group. He was very active within our game group. we talked on a daily basis, and he had informed me that his dad had shoved him into a wall, and had been physical with him, as well as telling him the ultimatum of moving out. And when it came time to move in with me, had told me that he told him he'd disown him. With that information, me and Patch had started a GoFundMe to help him afford the costs of moving from one side of the country to my home state. And it was under apparently false pretenses, because when I called his father this morning to inform him that Ryley had that he had purposely cut himself at his job and was taken to a hospital, that had happened, his dad had expressed to me that what had happened at the time of him moving out was he had given him an ultimatum, because I'm not going to speak for Kichi stuff, but at the end of all of it, his dad paid for him to move back home along with all his stuff, and he was supposed to work on his mental health. His dad told me that Ryley was not keeping up on that and was just going to work and just coming home and not even really helping out around the house. And he told him that he would either have to get his life together and start, what's the word I'm looking for? Start getting his mental health together and making that a priority and going to it consistently, or he'd have to move out. And instead, he chose to come live with me because I had offered him a place, thinking that his dad had been abusing him.
Okay, I think I got it.
Yeah, that's basically what he told us too.
His dad is a very reasonable man. When I talked to him, he had told me that this is kind of normal for their family life with him, which is disheartening to hear.
Kichi mentioned something similar when, unfortunately, this is not the first time that Ryley's tried to hurt himself, and parents had to get involved, and I believe Kichi also stated that his dad was very forthcoming and very patient and understanding. Nothing like what Ryley described, so...
His dad had informed me that his mother had done some damage when he was younger. I wasn't given details, but that along with that, his mother had made it so that Ryley villainizes him to an extent where it's really hard for him to help Ryley because Ryley will not accept it.
Truth be told, there was a statement I remember Kichi gave me about something. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. I kind of never put it out because I wound up making a cheap shot at Ryley, and I was like, you know what, I don't need to make that public. So it's not as if I won't always say that he was my absolute favorite in the world, but I didn't have like a super grudge against the guy again until I felt my girlfriend was potentially threatened. I sometimes have a habit of jumping to the worst case scenario. For those of you guys who know.
My only interaction with Ryley was the one time I chased him out of limbo because he was too much of a pussy to actually argue with me.
I do remember that. I didn't understand. I thought we'd squash that, but yeah.
No, I'm just saying that's my only interaction since everybody else talking about their experiences.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mess.
I think I've talked to him, but I don't have any lasting experiences with him.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, of course, the person that Rouge called this morning to ask what to do when he went missing, because she didn't know what happened, was me. And so I looked up the Lowe's in her area. There were 4 of them, so we split up. And oddly enough, the first one I called is apparently the one that he worked at. And they gave us a rundown of what exactly happened. And that's how we found out where he was and what was going on. Going forward, the only thing that they can do is just, keep him out and send him back to his dad. That's really it. There's nothing else you can do in this case.
Yeah, because my sister is who he's leasing from, my sister has already expressed that as soon as he hits here, I'm to call her because he's not allowed to stay here anymore. Because it's not our job to be responsible for his mental health and well-being.
Nor can you be.
Yeah. And along with that, with Kichi's situation, because it's not the first time he's done this, there's a chance that the hospital can hold him for a couple days, up until months. And so there's still going to be a situation to address there with his father when we get more info.
Yeah, there's a pattern of behavior here.
It is likely that, I mean, just if you want some security, it is likely that if the hospital's holding him and you're concerned or your other roommate is concerned, you can't call them up and ask, can y'all hold them until a parental figure shows up, because y'all believe he might not be safe around other people. And they probably will hold him for you.
Actually, I can also.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if he's. I was in a crisis unit through the second half of December, and one of the things they do is they almost court case review you to make sure that you aren't a threat to yourself or others. So outside input might, if you like, your input might influence that for the better. You might be able to get in touch with them because they'll review that, I believe.
Unfortunately, they could not tell me which hospital he's at. His dad, I think, has figured it out. But I can't just call them up and be like, is Ryley there? Or give input, because I'm not family. I'm not someone who's allowed to have this sort of information.
Right, yeah, they did that with me too. They would ask for, even if you got it right, they would ask for like a password or something.
Unfortunately, I don't even know his birthday when it comes to it, because my sister tried to help because she works for the hospital, or one of the main big ones out here.
What a mess.
So is he's not on a lease?
He is on a lease till September 1st, but my sister has expressed that this is a breach of contract.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And so he will not be permitted to stay here, because it's a danger to him and it's a danger to us in our mental health as stuff, having to watch over someone who's already tried once.
How you expressed that you ran into he didn't handle it well when you said that he wasn't coming back. How bad did that get?
What do you mean not coming back?
Well, I thought you told him that he wasn't going to get a chance to renew his lease.
That was the whole conversation about the lease, where I expressed to him the stuff
Okay.
going on with my sister and everything, and he just was very confused. He told me the first time that he was having a panic attack and didn't understand. I expressed it again. He didn't respond. I got home. We talked about it again, and he was still under the state of, I don't understand what's going on.
No, that sounds very familiar, doesn't it, Aeon?
Peter?
I think to a point, because he might be. I'm giving an explanation, not a justification. And it's also speculative, so just keep that in mind. It could be that if he's in enough of a deep panic, it's probably that he does understand it, but in a state of panic, he does not register it. Maybe.
And I gave him more than what a normal person should give him. He had 3.5 months till September 1st to figure out what to do. So it wasn't like a huge rush, had to get out, but I did notice that he didn't seem to really be looking.
And it's not as if we were I mean, we gave him crap in game when we were with him, but we didn't overly beat up on Ryley about any of his problems. We certainly didn't archer him out. I think it was brought to my attention. Well, you don't want him to snap around Rouge. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I could always give him some shit once he's out of the house.
I'm legitimately shocked he never mentioned any problems. I mean, I
Yeah.
haven't really spoken to him a whole lot, but being Golden's server when we're just hanging out or streaming and what have you, and he'll pop in once in a while, I noticed, but he never mentioned anything. Well, obviously he wouldn't if we're streaming, but we'd be in private calls too, and he never mentioned anything. But when was the last time I talked to him?
Well,
I think it was a week ago.
to be clear, and I could be wrong here, I don't feel that people talking to Ryley specifically is going to be dangerous. I'm just giving people a heads up in case he decides to, if you're moving out or getting into a new place, might want to pass on this roommate.
Yeah, because a similar situation happened with Kichi, which we're waiting for the statement.
Yes, they're currently in a D&D game. They keep typing a little bit and then stopping.
Holy crap! They've been in that D&D game for like 12 hours.
Well, they do last a long
Welcome to
time.
that circle. Yeah, welcome to that circle. They love their D&D.
I'd say if she got out right now, it'd be a pretty quick match.
Is it is that the Scorcher game or what? Or is it their own thing? Like who runs that thing?
Oh, that's their own thing.
Oh.
Scorcher's game is... Our game isn't until like the 27th or something.
Okay. Is this the one run by Jim Fear or some shit like that? No, never mind.
No, they have their own. They have their own guild, and they had a game today.
Oh, sorry, again, stalling for time. Gray Silvermane messaged me out of the blue today at 1 o'clock, and he was trying to invite me to a game. I'm like, unfortunately, I'm at work, and I'm like, when I get home, I'm not gonna, I'm probably not gonna be in the most pleasant of moods. So.
No, yeah, he messaged me about that too, and I'm like, no, I'm too busy. I'm gonna be in like 3 campaigns as it is, so I'm a busy girl.
Oh, fuck.
And sorry, Rouge, I'm not trying to laugh at your situation.
I'm aware. We're just waiting for Kichi's statement.
Yep.
Yeah, but I truly am sorry about your rabbits, and it's not been a good year.
Not as well as when Ryley moved down here, we had our first earthquake since the 90s.
Holy crap! I
Yeah,
honestly
we had a
don't know
tornado
what to
warning.
do. I honestly would not know what to do if there was an earthquake.
Me and Ryley both didn't know what to do. I think me and him both froze up in bed and were like, alright, well, shit, I don't know what to do.
I think you're supposed to stand between the doorway.
Yeah, we didn't know,
Get
we
ready
just
for the
laid there.
aftershock.
It's like I remember Aeon would ask me, hey, what do we do when there's a tornado and we're on the 2nd floor of our apartment complex? I'm like, we're not supposed to be upstairs. That's bad. I don't know. We can run to the gas station, or we can make a run for it in one of our cars to my parents' house. But you saw what happened at Twister, right?
You guys have seen The Wizard of Oz. You know what that shit does.
I guess I also just wanted to talk about the GoFundMe stuff because I feel bad that a lot of people donated to a cause thinking it was something else.
So, what exactly was misleading about that?
The money was to help Ryley move here because he was trying to get out of abusive situation.
Okay. And we have evidence to the contrary. How much did they raise?
A little over $500.
Okay. Well, at least they didn't get stuck on that 10,000 number, right, Leo?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
I mean, can you mislead someone when you yourself have been misled?
I don't know. I got during other situations about like GoFundMe's. I've had people like, well, you retweeted this. I'm like, all right, I'll make a statement. I don't remember if I did. So if I did, I'm sorry about the. Yeah, sometimes you just see somebody is in trouble. It's a simple matter of, well, why not retweet it?
I mean, I would say the simple fact, I'm not saying don't say anything, I'd just say wait until the situation is resolved until you want to make a statement about it.
I think they might be ready. They're typing again. Big bucks, no whammies.
I was in a call with Rouge and a couple other people about Melovetta Brothers.
Oh, yeah. As far as Ruza goes, I actually had an admin from a Ponytown server. I think it's a box or whatever it is. They're like, oh, yeah, you could actually just put those videos about, exposing predators in the general chat because nobody seems to check out. I was like, oh, thank you. The other servers on that have been rather resistant, according to Ruza. I haven't argued with them myself. I haven't kept up with that part of the fandom.
Rouge, remember that one server that you and me were in, the Wolfie one?
Yeah.
Well, what was it? So when you guys all left, a lot of people came to me and were like, so are you staying in here or are you leaving? And I'm like, I'm staying in here. And like, I believe the owner was very like persistent with me being like, well, why do you want to stay in here? And I'm like, because I just want to keep an eye on things. And it's like, look, you being in here is very worrisome for a lot of people. And it's like, what is there to worry about? And then she just eventually kicked me.
Bunch of pussy nonsense.
Well, sometimes they do freaking shuffle people out for inactivity. It isn't necessarily a fuck you. But yeah, in your case, it probably was.
They seemed very adamant about getting me out of there, Anthony. It's like, all your friends are gone. Why are you still here? And it's like, because I want to be.
I mean, Mixer Mike eventually threw me out of his server, and I wasn't really active in there. I'm pretty sure I'm banned, though.
I'm like, the more and more this conversation was going on, I was like, what are you hiding?
This better be 2 pages of text. This is going to be a give and take post, one of those ones that take like an hour and it's like about a sentence long.
I mean, I visited Ryley when he was with the Cali gang, and
no, I know he's perfectly capable of being chill when I've run into him at conventions.
I was just going to explain the conversations I've had with him, and they were basically just related to the fact that he was upset because he had a deadline to getting on his feet, and multiple people have spoken to him about it, but he kept kind of circling around and freaking out and getting anxious about it. And I told him, hey, look, dude, I hate to break it to you, but you're an adult now. You got to dig deep and bite the bullet and look for anything just to get on your feet. It doesn't have to be glamorous. I know it's hard because it's California, but if you want to make this work, if you want to stay here, you got to step up to the plate. You can't keep just crying about it and waiting for that deadline to tick by, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to run out of time. You got to dig deep and get up.
All right, so
so.
All right, so here's the statement here. Originally, Ryley, Aeon, and I moved in with Keyframe, Goldie. Did you do that wrong? Okay. Ryley told us he's been abused by his father, so obviously we wanted to get him out. The deal was that they would find jobs and move out with another friend named Joey. I'm assuming Turner. Ryley was originally supposed to transfer his job, but was unable to do so because he was apparently on probation. Work or legal. Over the course of 6 months, he said that he was looking for work, but all I saw was him sitting on the couch, watching Friends, getting high and eating. I'm hard sell to believe that. I'm kidding. I only saw him job hunting after he got fussed at for not looking for a job. There was even a time when he had a relative that worked for a big federal company, and he couldn't even be bothered to put in an application to try and get the job with their company. After 6 months, we told him that he had 3 months to get a job and move out because we were sick of it. Aeon was given the same time, but he was fine with the arrangement. As we got closer to the time, he got more depressed. After a month after the time left, I got on a call with a lot of his friends saying that he posted a worrying message over Skype. I got Keyframe to call him and talk him down. I didn't know how and he couldn't do it from anyways. I'm probably
Do it from work anyways.
Turns out that he was driving himself off a cliff and the intention to drive off. She was able to talk him down. After that we contacted his dad. He agreed to pay for everything to get him back home. His plane ride, the cost to have his things shipped, the cost to have his car transported home. I don't believe he was being 100% truthful about what was going on with his dad. I believe that his dad was fed up with him being lazy. I know I was. That was the original intention. Again, this is going to be, I know Rouge corrected to me this earlier, with the pattern of behavior. Again, I'm I'm a bit more skeptical and I guess more boorish, oafish about this. I thought it was a hustle after seeing it a second time. Okay, my dad threw me out. Oh, I better sponge off these other people, but better go back and cry to daddy after I have a bad fit. And Rouge believes Rouge and Kichi kind of disagree. Think that it might be more of a subconscious kind of thing as opposed to what term I'm thinking of, something he's actively doing. If I'm not representing that right.
From what his dad has explained to me, he has a warped view of the world. He has expressed because he believes it's from his Asperger's, and that with the damage his mom had done, that his mom had made him out to be the villain, and so Ryley has a hard time accepting his help. So his dad probably did get tough on him at the end, but I don't know how much I believe as far as the statements he made to me originally anymore.
So, in response to Overlighted Knives about what the hell going on, I think I've got a really quick summary. After presumably 2 suicide attempts and 2 of Rouge's pets mysteriously gone missing, we thought it prudent. Again, that's just speculation on the animals. They are dead, but we can't tie that specifically to Ryley. We just thought that we'd tip everyone off in the unlikely event that he decides to move in with somebody else in the future down the line. Do we feel that he's dangerous talking to people online? I haven't seen anything other than that, but hey, again, down the line, if you're looking for roommates, not this guy. That's just our take. We're giving a 1-star Yelp review, if that's what they do, you know?
Feel fairly exploitative, personally, from what I think.
Yes. All right. Are we done?
I don't know. Does Lightning or Peter have anything they want to say?
I mean, Peter was his roommate in California at the time, or before he moved in with me. So I think Peter would have more to say on it. But I just know that from the couple times I visited while he was living there, especially after when Kichi and everybody else basically gave them the same deadline that Aeon was given, that, hey, you need to get a job or you need to go back home because California is not working out for you. Not a big deal. I mean, it happens. It sucks, but it happens. And California is not exactly the best place to get a job right now, let alone a few years ago, even with the pandemic going on. But he kept... The term is just based off what he was telling me, and he was scared. Like he was scared, and I don't blame him. He felt safe with us and not with his own family or not with his own father. And I don't know his dad. I've never spoken to this man, so I can only go off on what he's telling me. I didn't want to believe half the things he was saying because I'm like, okay, your dad's hard. He's a boomer. That's not a big deal. Parents can be hard. My dad was hard, but your dad isn't wrong. You need to get a job. You need to work. Money's not going to fall out of the sky, and we can't take care of you.
I don't know what his mom did. No one was given that information, and it's none of my business.
That's very mature.
Yeah, I don't know anything about his mom other than that she sadly passed away from cancer. That's all I know about his mom.
All I know is that, as a bit of a comment, and I don't think this is gauche or uncouth to say, I suppose. He does have a lot of expressed reverence for his mother, and I do mean a lot. His mother frequently comes up in conversation topics, personal conversation topics, which obviously I'm not going to bring up. And and does come up frequently. I also remember that when me and, like, say, Joey would come to hang out, it was usually always imperative that we always did it when his father was not around. So I actually never met his father. The closest I ever got was when Riley spoke to him on speakerphone one time.
And I had the pleasure of calling him to inform him what was going on and had a pretty lengthy discussion with him, in which he seemed very calm, somber, a bit disappointed. And he had expressed that this is kind of just their life as family with Riley. This is not like abnormal. So.
Just reading off the chat here. Thanks for the heads up. This is why I'm buying a houseboat, no roomies. Thank you very much, B9 Ranto, for the $20. How old is Riley?
In his 20s.
Yeah, I think he's mid-20s.
Okay.
I do strongly believe that there is something going on mentally and he does need help, probably a clinic of some sort. But I also know that, okay, this is the second time and it's in a very similar pattern, which is not good. And I honestly thought he was doing better when he was with Rouge. Like, I thought I was hearing good things.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he can't turn it around. It's just, buyer beware.
Yeah, I'm saddened. I'm very saddened because I honestly thought, and no, before anybody speculates or assumes anything, no, I'm not blaming Rouge for any of this or what have you. I thought he was in a better environment now that he's away from his dad. But if he's not making an effort or he's not taking the opportunity, that's bad. And I'm frustrated that I thought he would have taken the opportunity Rouge gave him.
Well, and my place was never supposed to be permanent. He was in an emergency situation. I had 2 rooms upstairs, one that had a whole bunch of my costumes and was more of just storage, and then another room that was for my rabbits, and I ended up cleaning that out. I got a bed in there for him. I got, a desk, a bookcase, side table, just so he'd have some bare minimums when he got here. But it was never supposed to be a permanent deal because I had only extended it to him because of the circumstances surrounding the situation. I personally did not want a 3rd roommate.
Snap-a-doodle.
But living here, it's quite destructive. Lots of garbage everywhere.
Yeah, no, big up on Blake here. He says anyone can come back from the brink. I know you had your own situation, Blake. Presumably, I think you're better. Are they better, Leo?
I have no idea. I don't talk to Blake all that often.
Okay, well.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Or we'll be doing one of these on you later. But anyways, yeah, no.
Yeah, no. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like especially during the California days, because I had my own psychological issues going on, and because I wasn't able to get established, I also couldn't get mental health immediately. I mean, I have it now, thankfully, and on my next appointment, I'm actually going to solve one of my mental health issues. Thankfully, I just have to wait for that date to come up.
As far as I'm aware, the only places he was going when he left the house was to work, grocery shopping, and laundry. He wasn't seeing, he went from seeing one occasionally at his dad to what I suspect, I cannot guarantee, is not one at all, which it was brought up that it might mean he was not on his medication either.
Wait, was he was on he was on medication?
As that's what has been expressed to me, that originally part of his problem with the first time with Kichi and them was that he was on wrong medication for the stuff going on with him, that didn't work well with his Asperger's.
Crap.
Yeah, like I'm saying this with the full self-awareness that I wasn't the best roommate either. Just the people who otherwise know now, but yeah, like, even I admit, like, when it comes to getting that stuff, you do kind of have to be on it, because a lot of those pills and medications have, I don't know the technical term, but it's like a build-up time where you might have to wait like a few weeks, maybe even as long as 6 weeks to receive any benefit, and any wrong thing can happen along the way.
And going a day off could be disastrous as well, correct?
not just that, but sometimes you might find out like, oh, I'm 2 weeks into 6 weeks, and the pills either are damaging or don't even help you, but you can't just quit them cold turkey. It's it's a complicated mess. Like personal example, they tried to put me on Seroquel briefly when I was in a crisis unit in December, and that was like the most horrifying thing to be on, to the point where it was almost worse than the condition itself. So I stopped that as an example.
I didn't have anything too much to add on that. I knew someone on that, but I won't speculate on that right now. So, let's see what happened to me before. I was put on Adderall as a kid. 1 week they took me off. It made me violent. Well, Adderall's for attention, Blake, I believe. I think we came to the
also
end.
It's,
oh, go ahead.
Isn't Adderall usually meant to be given to adults too? Like I heard something. Not this person wasn't a doctor or medical professional or anything like that. So take this with heavy salt and acknowledge it, and that it's not medical. But it's like when you're young, they give you Ritalin because it is somewhat better for you than Adderall when you're young, but then when you're older, then they give you Adderall.
Adderall is an amphetamine, so it kills the appetite. I know from experience that medications like that can have complications with your diet.
Oh no, I know that they can have complications with diet. I mean, I'm talking about your psychological development. They usually, they don't usually
put on Adderall. I've had it once or twice. I haven't noticed a significant change, but
well, you're not going to notice it once or twice. I'm talking about continuous use, because Adderall can do something to your psychological development when you're young. I'm told. Again, I'm not a medical professional, but that would be like continuous use sort of thing, not a one and done sort of thing.
I've been on medication like Concerta, which acts like Vyvanse, and I haven't really, aside from just my performance in academic environments and at home extracurricular activities, it definitely helped with my mood and, just focusing and paying attention to what was happening in the situation, though I don't really notice the significant difference when I'm off it now. But again, that's a matter of just development, so I guess you have a point there.
Well, it also interacts with other people differently, I imagine.
Oh, well, I've been on different kind of stuff. Like right now I'm on Vyvanse, and there's also just the difference in dosage.
You're about to say something, Bliss? Go ahead.
Oh, I just know that when I was a kid, I was put on Ritalin too because I have ADD and trichotillomania. But
yeah, I was put on Adderall what the hell did you just say it was? Ritalin.
Trichotillomania.
Yeah.
Yeah, ADD and trichotillomania. But yeah, Ritalin literally kind of just killed my creative spirit. My mother took one look at me. It's like, she's not drawing. I'm taking her off it.
Yeah, no, I got accused of turning into a zombie after getting put on Ritalin. My diet crashed, so, it was really easy to lose weight. Wouldn't recommend taking it for that, though.
Yeah, no, oddly enough, the most destructive thing I've been on that a lot of people seem to back up is I've never known anyone who has ever been beneficially assisted by Zoloft. Like, everyone I know who's taken it, both me, my sister, and several of my friends, even in the community, who've taken it, it almost like universally seems to backfire and make everything a lot worse.
Isn't Zoloft the sleep aid?
Zoloft is it's in the Prozac family of drugs. It's an antidepressant with some anti-anxiety in it, but they tried to put me on it a couple times, and every single time it like backfired, in a pretty destructive way. So at this point, I've made it clear to my psychiatrist that I refuse to take it. I played nice in the CSU because they get really anal if you reject medications, and a lot of them were. What?
Did you cheek it? Pretend like you swallowed
I didn't cheek it.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't cheek it. It's like immediately when I got out of the crisis unit, I just stopped taking it. Because the amount of time that they were having me take it for wasn't enough for it to build up in my system enough for me to worry about just quitting it cold turkey. And I've already done it once when I was rolling like 150s of it, and this was just like 2550s for a few days. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna wait this out. I would go back to the doctor, and it's like, oh, how's your result? I stopped. That was just so I could cooperate with the CSU people because they'll keep you longer if you refuse medication.
Oof.
And I thought I heard something about a study they did in the UK because they were like, hey, isn't this a little bit fishy that so many people seem to be traumatized by this? Now, don't quote me because this was just something I heard in conversation. I never actually checked to verify, but it was like some stupidly absurd number of people, like a vast majority are. It's more likely to make your condition much, much worse. And it was something like only like 8% of people received any benefit from it.
When I heard this morning, Rouge is like Ryley didn't come home. I thought that it might have been, recent event sort of thing. I was like, oh, is his car out front? Did he have a car? Yeah, and it's not. And I'm like, oh crap. That I don't know. I didn't know how dangerous the neighborhood Ryley was in.
We are in a pretty good area. And protests in Salt Lake are very peaceful and non-violent. The first night was the worst night, but we're perfectly fine. We're peacefully protesting and not having issues out here. So it's not a matter of where we are because the place we're at is a very kind of family-friendly area right next to the hospital.
Okay, did we cover everything?
I think so.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you for your patience. Peter, Bliss, I'd like to thank you both, and Leo, for helping come out. Rouge, thanks for being cooperative. I didn't even know we were going to be doing this today. So yeah, hope I did an okay job for flying by the seat of my pants again, guys. Godspeed.